The next part of Chat Wheel Redux that I wanted to cover is some of the add-on options that come along with it. And if you don't know how to get to those, you just press Escape, go to Options, Add-on Options, and then that'll bring up this menu here, and you can just select ARMA 3 Chat Wheel Redux. Okay. Now, some of the options that come with the mod is being able to set your own custom messages. So, as you may have seen in this little menu here, if I go to More, there are 4 custom messages that you can select here. These can be anything you put in here. There are also some special things called tags that you can insert into these messages. The tags are what do a lot of the special things, like with the contact one, it has you pick a distance. You can do that through a tag. The launcher options are done through a tag. Basically, anything that's not sending just a normal message is done through a tag. Okay. And in order to see kind of a list of what those are and how they work, if you press M to open your map, you'll see this option down here called Chat Wheel Tags. This kind of gives a brief kind of list of every tag that's in the mod and what they all do. So weapon displays the weapon you're currently holding, launcher opens up the little like permission to fire, clear backblast type menu. There are some special ones though, and that is this last one here. This one is used to play voice lines. This is all done through a config. If you've done ARMA modding before, you should know all about that. Basically, there is the ability to set up custom voice lines to play whenever you press an action. All of the base messages are already set up to use these. You can see a list of those on the Steam page description if you want to set up your own custom messages. But kind of the gist of how it works is you add this little VL, meaning voice line, a hyphen or a dash, and then the name of the class that it will look up. So in this case, it'll look in the CWR voice lines root class for a class called ABC, and then it will access a voice lines attribute of it, which is basically just an array of file paths to sound files. Okay. There aren't any sound effects included in the base mod. You will have to use a separate mod in order to do that. It's just kept for simplicity and keeping the mod as small and accessible as possible. Okay. And if you want to see how some tags work, there is also an examples page here. This is what that use new line instead of arrow one does. Instead of these little arrows here, it'll be a space between them. I just prefer the look of the arrows. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some of those custom messages here. So say I want this one to be do a contact, and then I'll also put in a status just for an example. Okay, so if I put that in there, okay, and now I can go to my custom messages. It'll ask for a distance there, and then it'll ask for a status. Say contact east, bearing 70 black, which is from the status, and then the distance. So you may have seen that it looks a little bit out of order there, and that's just because the order of how the tags are kind of registered and how they're checked and everything like that. So things may be out of order and may need a little bit of tweaking on your end to do that. Okay. For the voice lines here, you can either enable or disable them. This is on your end. So if I have the option disabled and another player has it enabled, they will hear all the custom voice lines, but I will not, in case you either don't like them or you find them obnoxious or anything like that. The next option is the cooldown timer for the voice lines. By default, it is set to 3 seconds per player. So if I use 2 messages that have voice lines, it'll only play the first one and I'll have to wait 3 seconds in order to play the second. If it's on cooldown and you try to send a message, it'll still send the message, it just will not play the voice line. That's obviously configured. It ranges from 0 to 15 seconds by default, but you can set this to whatever you'd like.